This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you. It's a beautiful day. I'm out on the trails with Big Head and Millhouse. We're having a good time. I'm taking a look today at the DPRO from CoilArt by Coiltech. So the DPRO is a newer release. Probably come out with stuff since then. I'm a little bit late to the party as usual. The DPRO, it's a postless style RDA with airflow that enters in from the side through this sort of elongated chamber. Sort of like a little tunnel of air that's coming toward your coils and sort of angled downwards, so it comes in underneath the coils and comes back up through the drip tip. I've seen other RDAs that have done this. It wasn't the first, but the main one that comes to mind is the Wasp Nano. The Wasp Nano did it really, really well. I really like the Wasp Nano for that, and I like the DPRO as well for the same reasons. They're both squonkers. You know, the DPRO is a squonker too, but what's nice about the DPRO is that, you know, you have the stainless steel option. It might come in other colors. I have the stainless steel version with me right now. I think it comes in a black. I'm not sure what other colors it comes in, but the stainless steel is nice. I'm a big fan of stainless steel. I think it's very timeless. I like the CoilArt logo on everything. The CoilArt logo never disappoints. I mean, It's a cool name, let's be honest. The drip tip, by the way, is a really thick made ultem drip tip. And they've kind of done the thing that, oh, what's that company called? The guys that made the Doge, I forget right now. The drip tip itself is nice too. It's an ultem style drip tip, really, really thick. And they did that thing that that Comp Vape did. Comp Vape. Yeah, they're the ones that did the Doge. The guys that made the Doge did this thing where they started to put their O-ring inside the top cap, and it does that same thing. So there's no O-ring on the drip tip, and it just sort of hugs the inside of the top cap where the O-ring is. It's a really thick O-ring there. It makes for a really nice, secure connection. And it says DPRO on the ultem drip tip. I'm a big fan of ultem. Ultem never really gets hot, and it's stylish. I really like the look of ultem over Delrin. Actually really like the feel on the lips a bit better than ultem too, if I'm being honest. The deck, being a postless deck, makes it incredibly versatile. You can put pretty much anything you want into a deck like this. And the fact that the holes are sort of elongated on one side, which means that, you know, you can fit wider builds in here. I kind of wish that they were a little bit wider the other way too, though. I feel like that would, it's not a problem for the build I put in there, but I feel like with certain builds, it might get more difficult. Like a chunkier wire being used or something like that. It accommodated my half staggered staples that I threw in there, no problem. Those two coils I made for it, those half staggered staples, when I put them in here at first, I noticed when it was dualed up, I was getting a ton of spit back. It was really, really bad for the spit back. I was not a fan of it at all. Immediately, I took out that other coil and I set it up for a single coil. I'll say it definitely worked well as a single coil. Airflow coming in on either side of it. Really, really liked the flavor there. I'll say it was a tad bit whistly though. Some RDAs can be like that. If you don't cover enough of the deck space, it can be a bit whistly, but it was still pretty good. Still pretty good. Maybe with a thicker coil, maybe if I wrapped it around a 4mm bit, it would have worked really well. Then it might not have been so whistly anymore. The last build I threw in here, and what I'm rocking in here right now, is the best one. The last thing I put in here was something I wanted to put in the Wasp Nano for some time. The decks are very similar. I always wanted to put a Chimney coil in there, but I never really got around to it. I love a good Chimney coil, man. Now, the way I did this one, it's a little bit hard, a little bit tricky situating that coil as a Chimney coil. As a Chimney coil, it has this bit of where the airflow comes in, it's sort of raised up, right? The way that the airflow works, it's coming in through two sort of risen up chambers, right? So those chambers, they can be a bit of a challenge when you're trying to put in a Chimney coil, because you got to angle that Chimney coil, you know, so the airflow is going to go straight through on both sides. You can use your rod to sort of turn it as far as you can, probably at about a maybe a 45-degree angle from center. You can get about that far, and then, you know, these raised up airflow chambers, they're going to give you a bit of a problem. And then you gotta get a little bit, well, kind of like cross your fingers a little bit that you don't fuck up your coil in the process, but you got to use a good amount of heat and heat up that build, and then use some ceramic tweezers and sort of redirect that that coil so that airflow is going to be going through on either side of the coil and through and through. You're not going to be able to put the rod back in here after you finish situating it as a Chimney build, so you've got to be really careful and not deforming the coil while you're doing this. It works, but it's a little bit tricky. Some RDAs, yeah, you can go ahead and push the rod right through the airflow holes and sort of situate the coil around that, and that works great. This one, you can't. Why? Because the airflow, like I said, it's angled a bit downward, a little bit downward, so there's not a way for you to get that rod through the air hole and through the other side. You just got to situate it, kind of hope for the best. The rod's not going to pass through, you know, the airflow through the coil and back through the other airflow hole. It just won't work. So as long as you can look through one air hole, look through the coil, and look through the other airflow hole in the process of, you know, checking your build, you're probably okay. From there, I wicked it on up I wicked it so that I wicked it in such a way that I used 3 different pieces of wicking to do it. I wicked on one side of the coil, wicked on the other side of the coil, and then I wicked over it in that order. And it had to do it again. I think what I'd do is I'd put the wicking down over it first, and then put the wicking on the side in there, sort of lock that bit of wicking that went over in place. Because sometimes I pull on it and it wants to pull the wick up into my mouth. Or not into my mouth, but it pulls it up so it blocks the drip dip. And that's just a weird experience. But it works very, very well. When it's working well, it vapes fantastic. I mean, of those 3 build styles on this particular RDA, dual, single, or chimney, I like the chimney the best for sure. Great vape. Flavorful, tasty, cloudy, love it. I gotta say, without question, it's a mighty, mighty tasty vape. Very, very flavorful. Could be a bit cloudier, but I don't see this as a cloud chasing RDA as all. This is definitely more for the flavor chasers out there, I would say. Whether you're a dual coiler, a single coiler, you want to try rocking it with a chimney, they're all good. The flavor is great. I just will say I got a bit of spit back with the dual coil. I took it out real quick, but chimney, yeah. It's a 0.15 ohm build when it's single. Dualed up, it was 0.08. Yeah, it was really, really low dualed up. I gotta tell you, stainless steel ribbon wire, I think I hate stainless steel ribbon wire. It kinda sucks. It always ohms out way lower than I'm planning for it to ohm out. Not a fan. But yeah, vaping it at about $1.10, $1.20 with that 0.15 ohm build, nice vape. But I generally keep it around sub 100 watts, about 95 or so, something like that. That's where it's kind of the sweet spot with this particular build. It starts to get a little harsh in the throat if I turn it up past 100, 105 watts or so. I really like it at 95. And by the way, I'm vaping on this StarHunter from Space Jam. It's a new juice. I'm not sure what it is exactly. What I'm getting is like high VG juice, so it's good for the clouds. It's very tasty, very tart, citrusy, very tart, punchy. I want to say it's like an apple, almost like a green apple kind of thing going on is what I'm getting from it. It might be something else in there, maybe something like watermelon or something citrusy and fruity, maybe some, I don't know, maybe some limes. I don't know, it's yummy though. Yeah, thanks Space Jam for sending that over. It's good stuff. So, it pretty much never leaks. That's awesome too. I mean, the only reason it leaks is if you really over drip in here, because those air holes, they're nice and high up, and it's protected with dual O-rings. So, it's really not going to leak unless you really over drip in here. So be careful of that. But otherwise, I'm a fan. I like it, man. Especially with that chimney coil build, I gotta say that's the best vape I've had out of this thing yet. Really love it as a chimney build. Like I said, wasn't a fan as a dual coil, and it was pretty good as a single coil, but a little bit whistly. Otherwise, good stuff. Anyway, I appreciate all the things you guys do, the likes, the comments, the shares, all that good stuff. One more way that you can support the channel, I have a list of affiliate links in the description. Making a purchase using one of those links helps me, helps the channel, and I appreciate you. Till next time, I'm your own boy Josh. Vape on, Vapers.